All right, Savages. Co-main event time. Tyson Pedro versus Vitor Petrino. Robin, what you got for Tyson Pedro?
Guys, we've been a fan of Tyson Pedro from his very first UFC fights. His two first UFC fights. He submits Khalil Roundtree, and then he knocks out Paul Craig. So this guy's been fighting incredibly good people incredibly early on. He's had some rough fights and some rough moments, and that's usually coming later in the fight, and it's usually coming with wrestling or some injuries. His game, he's orthodox, and it's all about his rear leg. He's got one of the best kicking games I've ever seen in the UFC. So really amazing fakes, and then he's got this super fast snap kick, super fast question mark kick. He'll chop your leg, he'll stomp your knee. His rear leg is most of his attacks. He doesn't necessarily jab. He teeps and snaps and fakes. He's got an amazing kicking game. Now, it's a little bit one-dimensional. It seems like he's been working with that. Since then, he's gone with city kickboxing, and he's been working on his hands and working on his wrestling. In the ground game, he's got very good submissions, and he's an incredibly explosive grappler. On offense, he tries to go body lock to take people down, and he's had mixed success with it. Sometimes he's been taken down and grounded out in some of his fights against Ali Latifi and OSP. He had some trouble on the ground and getting taken down, but I think the work with city kickboxing could really help him. Sometimes on the ground, he's so explosive. Some of his escapes with Ali Latifi were incredibly explosive, very nice escapes, but it makes him fade later in the fight. So I think Petrino's best chance in this fight is to try to wear him down, try to slow him down, to try to get some grappling going. I'm really curious how this fight goes on the feet, and I'm really curious how this fight goes on the ground. What do you think of Petrino in this matchup?
Petrino carries a tremendous amount of power. In some of his performances where it looked like there was perhaps a little bit of a skill disparity or it was a close contest, what really pulled it out for him was those power punches. Now, Dana White's Contender Series, he got into an absolute firefight, ends up starching the guy. He's got a nasty left hook. He's dropped a couple people with that. In the UFC, he knocked down Marcin Prachnio with that left hook, followed up with some great ground control, really heavy top, classic jiu-jitsu positioning where you're under your partner's head and under their arm, locking those hands, gable grip, crushing top pressure, ended up finishing with an arm triangle there. This kid is undefeated. He's 10-0. He's a really dangerous prospect. He's on a tear in the UFC. No one solved the puzzle yet. Who do you think gets this one done? How do you see this one going?
You know, I've seen some moments where Petrino kind of overswings. I've seen some openings where he could get hit pretty hard. He's a massive dude. He's a beast. He's a monster. But in this matchup, I'm going to take Tyson Pedro. I think it's close. It could totally go either way. But I think Tyson Pedro is a better striker. He's a better grappler. Petrino's best, I think Tyson Pedro is a better striker and grappler. Petrino's best chance, like I said, is to try to grind him out. I think Pedro's been working on his grappling, and he's really shown his work on his hands, because we already knew his kicks were amazing. In his fight with Anton Turkalj, his last fight, he had a beautiful knockout in the first round. If he's rounded out that game to work on a bit of wrestling, to work on a bit of the boxing, and he already got the kicks, I think he can take this matchup away from Petrino and get the win.
I'm going to go Tyson Pedro in this one as well. He's been in there, like you said, with some of the best in the division, gotten some great wins under his belt. Petrino's the up-and-coming kid. Pedro, I think this is time to make a run. If he's going to make a run, it's now. He's back after some injuries, some layoffs, and he's winning. He's looking great. He has to keep that momentum going. He's got to deal with the power of Petrino, and he's got to deal with the takedowns, because Petrino will shoot on him, will try to take him down. If he does get down, he's got to work up. His gas tank needs to hold up. I think he starts scoring effectively with his kicks, better boxing, a little more technical everywhere than Petrino, and starts catching him and hurting him and gets him out of there.
Yeah, I like Tyson Pedro by a knockout, second or third round.
Let's go Tyson Pedro on this one.